welcome to Geraldine's Super Secret Author vlog. I got to go to London and Ireland in 2019, but that was before I started my vlog, so that's why these videos about London and Ireland, parts 1 and 2, are pretty much just photo compilations. But there is a video clip here in part 2 where we saw some live Irish dancing at a pub, and that was really cool. So I hope you enjoy this. See you soon. So after we got back from the Aran Islands, we drove over to Dungare Castle. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. It was built in 1520, and it was, you pay a little fee and go through for a self-tour, and we really had a good time, enjoyed it a lot. There was a wealthy lady who lived here for a while, the most recent owner, so she kept it up, and then it's been preserved, unlike many of the castle ruins. So on the lower floor is the Great Hall, where they still hold magical dinner theater shows there, which is really neat. Then the next level, there's kind of this medieval staged cooking and eating area from the looks of it, and then the woman lived on the top floor, so she had that as her kind of more modern living accommodation. And here's the view from the top. And then, as I said before, all over Ireland you find these ruined houses without roofs, these little stone cottages. It's pretty cool. Then we went to a place where we had Spanish coffee and clam chowder and like a Mediterranean plate. And then we drove to this other ruin, which was on private land, so we couldn't really like go in or anything or get too close. And then there's these medieval pigeon towers all over Ireland where they would send messages like from one tower to another. Then we were told about Galore, so we went there. It's the largest stone circle in Ireland. The interesting thing I found about this is that people still leave little offerings here and even now and put like prayer ribbons up on the tree, and so all these thousands of years and people are still using this as a holy site. Driving on the other side of the road was beautiful, but quite stressful for my husband, especially since the roads were so narrow and sometimes you were driving along a stone wall, so there was no room for error. We spent the day exploring Limerick. Notice the ruins of the roof on this building. It's so interesting. And they have like the milk market at Limerick, which is like an outdoor market, and I found an awesome like used cookbook with Irish recipes that I'd never seen before, and we've been enjoying those meals so much. We went on a tour of King John's Castle. They have this well developed into a museum with audio guides and everything. It was really, really big castle, and it was really interesting. Fish and chips at the Loch pub, where we were surprised to discover Irish dancing. Our Airbnb hostess told us to go visit the Galore historical site, and we had an amazing time there. They have an audio tour that you have to take because you hear all the legends, all the stories about this ancient site where there's been evidence of people living here for like 6,000 years. Here's what's left of some of the very first settlements thousands of years ago. And then we ran across this sign about beware of the fairies and the 100 steps. These were the most beautiful steps I'd ever seen, and the fairy village at the top was just delightful. We could see the medieval Fitzgerald Castle in the distance, but it was not one that we could go into. There is said to be a fairy king living under this hill, and people are warned never to go on that hill by themselves because people have disappeared. One of the most ancient parts of Galore is this old slab hedge tomb, sort of like a barrow, but it said on the thing that, like, I think in the 1950s or maybe earlier, there was an old lady who was homeless, and so she actually lived in this for a while. We spent our last day exploring the picturesque village of Adair, and there we found this castle called Desmond Castle, which used to be open for kids playing it and everything, but now you pay for a tour, and it so happened no one else signed up for our time slot, so we ended up getting a private tour of Desmond Castle. And while we were waiting for a tour, we stopped and had some Irish hot chocolate, which was really nice. My SCA medieval persona was Jane Fitzgerald, and this castle was originally built by the Fitzgeralds, if I remember correctly. So my SCA persona may have been associated with either this castle or the one at Galore. It was really nice. I had this outward, like a large outer courtyard with a creek where the blacksmith shops would be and the horses. And then it had an inner courtyard that was like a safe area for the children and the kids. And here's a garderobe. We looked down the garderobe where people used to poop and pee, and it would fall outside the castle. This is the Great Hall, and in the Great Hall, the more humble windows were at the bottom of the hall, and the closer you get to the head table, the fancier the windows get. Even just driving to the airport, you see castles everywhere you go, right off the highway. It's wild. And then this other one was some sort of castle park, but we were on the way for our flight, so we couldn't stop and do the, tour it or anything like that. And then we flew back to England and spent the night in a beautiful manor house before taking the bus back to London and flying back home. I hope you enjoyed this. Leave your comments below if you have gone or want to go. It took us about 25 years to finally get to go, but we used a discount from Next Vacay and were able to get super affordable flights to London, and then from there hop over to Ireland. And so I'm so glad we went in 2019, right?